right, motion to approve it?
So, okay.
Well, I'm not doing the motion, I'm
So
asking for a
moved.
motion.
So moved.
You wanna second it?
I second that motion.
Motion's been approved, been offered by Paul and approved by Maynard. The agenda is approved as amended with the addition of Terry Thomas's update. Minutes review and approval. We do have the minutes, and I'm almost certain that Karen doesn't have the minutes because they were not sent to her.
Just had it on the phone.
No, she has the agenda on the phone. Right. So, we could review them, may not be able to approve them, but we can review the minutes. We have, in fact, old minutes from the previous meeting, the minutes of July 21st, 2015, that we have to enter into the record, and I imagine if we can't get an approval on it, we won't be able to enter into the record. So we do have it in front of us. We have it in front of you, Maynard.
Yes.
All right, and Paul and Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything about those minutes you want to say to them that maybe something you may feel that is inaccurate or needs to be altered? You can do so now.
I don't have any inaccuracies. I did have a couple of questions, but the folks aren't here to discuss them, so.
All right. So what we can do, I think I'll what we can do this offline. I imagine, I'll send it electronically. We can all look at them. These minutes also, because they are last month's minutes, we can do it offline and we can approve it offline. And then determine whether or not the next meeting we should enter them into the record. That's the minutes of July 21st, 2015. Can I get a motion to do that?
What's the motion?
Motion is to take the minutes of July 21st and table them until we go offline with them, so we can all look at them and approve them for accuracies, because you had some questions that you said you can't get responded to because they're not here. So we can motion to,
I move that we table the July 21st minutes until for electronic approval. Is that what it
Right.
Okay.
okay?
I second that motion.
All right, got that. Thank you, Paul. And now we can look at the minutes of August 19th, which is the previous minutes of the last board meeting. You want to look over that and peruse it and see whether or not there's anything there that we want to add, subtract, or question.
Again, Sydney's not here, so he's probably the only one who can speak to motion number 3, so.
Yeah, and what I'm going to assume that the approval is the motion in terms of the it's going to be one abstention because Karen can't see him, so it's going to be 4, 1 abstention. That's for the record, because Karen can't see the minutes, so therefore she can't respond to the minutes.
Well,
Right? Oh, and unless we can go ahead and, if you want to do the same, Paul, and offer the same motion.
well, actually, again, if she's gonna abstain, you could theoretically pass this. I'm saying with an abstention, you have 4 votes, you still got 5 votes, it's 4 to 1, you still got a majority.
So I'm not, and the reason why I'm saying to try to get that is to see exactly whether or not everybody should be able to look at them and peruse them
Okay.
before we do that.
Well, then I move that we table the August 19th minutes and approve them through electronic email.
Okay, for the record, by the time we get to the next meeting, it should be entered into the record. All right?
Okay.
But I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I see here that Johnson Rap was added to the advisory board in the minute.
Sure.
Do we in effect do we have an advisory board?
That's one of the,
I was gonna speak on that even though we didn't put it on the agenda here, but again, that's okay, cause I'm still working on it, actually. I'll send something out, Monique, if it's okay if I just say a few
Yeah.
words about it.
yeah, well, and that's all, good.
Yeah, I'm gonna send something out probably this week. I've been working on it. I looked through the bylaws, and of course, it's just very limited amount. It just basically says we can set that up and they can do pretty much what we want. So So I'm researching other advisory committees, obviously fundraising, marketing, PR, networking, partnership type stuff. That's typical of an advisory board, so I don't think we'll be doing too much different than that, but I'll have something out to the board probably within a week or so.
Okay. Now, does he need his microphone? So, they got a microphone. You got a microphone in front of you. You got to use that microphone, Paul.
Sorry about that.
And I'm not sure if Karen, were you able to hear some of the
Could you repeat
discussion?
that? For the.
No.
Okay. Karen, I was saying that I had volunteered to Wanique about 10 days ago to put together something for the advisory board. We have 3 members who are currently elected to that board, advisory board. And the bylaws, of course, allow for that construction of an advisory board. It does not detail, of course, responsibilities, et cetera, tasks, et cetera. I suspect that it'll probably be a typical advisory board supporting fundraising activities, marketing, other kinds of networking opportunities for People TV. I'll have something out probably the next 10 days or so to the board. Okay?
Copy that.
Copy that. Roger that.
All right. All right. So that's going to have to be an amendment to the agenda then, which we approve. So if it's possible, we can.
So, will we then have to vote on? We then have to vote on what this advisory board.
I would think that, yeah, it would be appropriate.
right
for
now
at least either through some consensus or a vote would be appropriate, but a consensus would be appropriate. In other words, the bylaws call for an advisory. I'm sorry. The bylaws currently call for an advisory committee. It allows the board to set one of those up. It just does not detail responsibilities and tasks. So again, I'm looking at different boards. They do pretty much the same thing. It's a typical advisory board, but I would suspect that in order to give it some tasks and a detailed agenda, plus perhaps even some sort of meeting schedule, if you will, like once or twice a year, the board's going to have to
We'll make it a functional board and not just one.
I want it to be a functional board. I hope the board feels the same way.
Yeah, because they typically do a lot of review, and they said twice a year, something like that, and
Right.
give an overview as to what we're working in those areas you mentioned, development and fundraising
Input
and the like.
and just kind of creating, helping to support our image out in the community. I mean, that's basically what advisory board does, you know.
Now, just for the record, I think I heard a chime. So chime must mean that somebody joined us.
Hi, Jason is here.
Hey, Dazon. Okay. For the record, Dazon Dixon is here. Vice President of the board is also present. Okay. We're moving through the agenda. And do you have one in front of you? Dazon.
Sorry, I was talking to mute. I'm trying to get there.
Okay. We're moving through the agenda, and where we are now is the strategic plan committee update. Imani's not present. And Paul, I don't know if you have any updates on anything pertaining to the strategic plan or anything you want to
Well,
speak to that.
Well, one thing I
Pick your
would
microphone up. Maybe we all get lavaliers one day. We'll be booming, right, Teddy?
One thing I'd really like to say about the strategic plan.
All right, Barry White.
I think it'd be appropriate, again, typically this planning team, is basically to provide oversight, and they ought to be developing some sort of performance evaluation, some sort of performance measures to ascertain exactly what they were able to achieve with their plan, how they did it, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to be needed for when you go to perhaps the next quarter and review it. I would suggest that we need to begin to think in terms of having a couple of meetings with that committee and discussing the plan and making some judgments about it. It's kind of early yet, but the fact is that clearly, again, I would suggest that we kind of come up with some performance measures to ascertain how well we achieve whatever our particular goals and work program is.
Okay. All right, and that also would add that we have to get caught up on those progress reports that we're supposed to have about things that we were supposed to be speaking to and acting on. So are you suggesting that we're going to have a meeting? Or are you suggesting a meeting?
Well,
Projecting a meeting?
actually, I'm no longer on that committee, but again, that's what I'm saying. The committee right now basically consists of the same individuals that were part of the planning team that
Right.
helped construct the plan.
Right.
So in lieu of you making a choice of some other individuals, that would have to be our strategic planning team.
Okay.
And
Alright.
so, again, I'm just saying that perhaps it'd be appropriate for us at some point in the very near future to get together
Right.
and determine how our responsibilities are going to be reflected in here.
So what I'll do, I'll agree to convening and getting and surveying so we can be able to have that discussion. Teddy, I know that you're also keeping us abreast on what's happening as relates to our strategic plan progress, right? He's shaking his head yes for the record. Okay. You're supposed to be, where you could be seen, brother, and respond.
Plenty of space up here, Teddy.
Yeah, that's right. Plenty of room. All right. So, with that being stated, we'll further along on that in terms of getting some traction on where that's at, and to Paul's assertion that we need to find out, in fact, even the population of it, to find out what the situation is relative to our progress on the strategic planning committee, finance committee. Sydney is not here. Is Sydney? He's not on the line. So we don't have a finance committee report. Teddy, I think that you could probably add your report would be up to whatever we need to do, but relative to our finances, you can talk about that, and I'm sure the report you would have gave to Cindy would be inclusive of that. So I imagine that you'll be able to do that. Finance committee overall, we're going to table because if Cindy had anything else to report, he's not here to report that, so we'll table whatever he would have reported if he was here. And then when we move to our managing director's report, he can give us the overall report that he would provide. I know he did mail out his financials to us, email out that to us. Imagine the development committee currently defunct to the degree that we don't have someone leading it. Paul did submit a resignation via email to all the members, so we don't have to follow up as to what we do to reconvene or restructure that committee for some leadership to it. I know that Cindy was advising that we all be a part of it some way or the other. I think that we do have some prospects for some ways and directions to move with it, but at this point, there's nothing to report from that because, and maybe if I'm incorrect, Paul, you can correct me if you have nothing to report because you're no longer on the committee.
Right.
So we'll just go ahead and table that until we get that committee back up and
I want
running.
to know that I'm still a member of the committee. I am still a member of that committee.
Yes, you are. Yeah, you're still a member of a committee that currently is leaderless.
Right.
So sometimes you get bumped up just because, as rank is concerned. So we'll
Kind of like secretary.
by default. So what we'll do, we'll have more discussion about what we do. We'll have a conversation about what we do to
I
reconstruct
think
that.
the committee's important. The committee's important. It cannot be defunct.
Oh,
We cannot afford for it to be defunct.
Right, right. And I was just being facetious when I said defunct. I was just saying that it's no longer has one who's actually interim leader of it. Managing Director Staff Report. Teddy Lewis. Dun, dun, dun.
All right. First thing I wanted to report to the board that on the 25th of August, can y'all hear me?
Yes, I can.
The Ethics Board of the City of Atlanta has awarded People TV Board of Directors the award for the Transparent Diamond Award recognition for 2015. And we have a letter from Nina Hickson, the ethics officer, along with a certificate acknowledging the board as far as being transparent in their financial disclosure. So I wanted to inform the board of that. We will be posting the certificate up here in the office. That was first thing I wanted to mention. And second, as it relates to finances, I will kind of jump into that since Sydney was not here. But as it stands right now, our projected performance for the year for 2015, we are projecting by the end of the year revenue in the amount of $234,646. Salaries and payroll taxes, $34,941. Building rent and maintenance, $103,562. And general and administrative expenses, $93,960. With a projected net of $2,183. Now, since the last board meeting, we have had some significant, I guess, outcome with the city. We did receive our first payment from the city on August 28th in the amount of $175,000 from their fiscal 2016 year, as well as a contract draft from City Attorney Keisha Burnett, and we are currently still trying to negotiate that contract. The contract is actually for, the full amount of the contract is $350,000. So that means there is a second payment of $175,000. That disbursement date has yet to be determined. Currently, the initial terms of that contract, they are retroing the start date back to January 1 of 2015, since the contract we had expired in December 31 of 2014. But the initial term for this new contract is it ends in December 31 of 2015. So I'm asking the city to consider giving us at least a 2-year contract. One of the clauses that has existed on all of our contracts is that for renewal, that the first 60 days of the next year, like in this case it would be 2016, that the city and People TV shall initiate a review process to discuss the performance of People TV, to determine the renewal and any requirements that the city may have. So I have made a request that in these negotiation processes that the city will consider helping us stabilize more by giving us a 2-year agreement, at least a 2-year agreement, even longer if possible.
Can I ask a question, please? At our last meeting, Sydney, our finance person, said we were treasurer, said we were in critical financial shape. And what am I hearing? Is this new information? That they were out of the woods? That there's double the money that we expected to receive? Or am I misreading that?
Well, I would not state that we are no longer critical. We still need to raise, as the last was reported by Sydney at the last meeting, we are still projecting a fundraising goal of $48,000 for this year. Because what the $175,000 has been recorded as deferred revenue. So right now it's in the bank, but on the books it's being recorded as deferred revenue for our calendar year 2016. So the objective that we still need to strive for is to raise additional funds so that we do not tap into that $175,000 during 2015.
So the new contract then that you're in the midst of negotiating is for 2016 or 2017?
Well, right now it's for 2015 because our contract actually expired in December of 2014. So it is a new contract just for our calendar year of 2015 with the option for them to extend it into 2016.
Our calendar year runs from January to
Yeah,
December. But the city's, that's the difference between what I think you're trying to ask is it overlapping because of the 6-month interval?
Yeah, they're on a fiscal calendar year, which is July to June, and we're on a calendar year. So basically, the 175 we received is within their current budget. So this additional 175, more than likely that may come out of their fiscal 2017 budget. which means it may be another year before we receive that. But right now, the contract, there are no dates as of right now in the current draft that I have seen that dictates when that second payment will come.
Could we term that then good news or?
Oh, no, it's good news, but we have to remember the monies that we receive from the city are intended to assist us with our funding and stabilizing, but we still need to continue our efforts to raise additional funds, because as it stands right now, from all of my conversation with the city, they are in complete support of People TV existing. But going back to the legislation and whatnot that has happened over the last 5 years, they want to see us become more self-sustainable as a nonprofit organization. But they're willing to assist us in that process.
Well, I think it's also the clarity is to be made that there's a different type of relationship that they also have being there now in the Office of Film Entertainment, and that contract that we're waiting for the language and whatever the substance of that contract will be based on the negotiation will be what that relationship means and what it means for us and what it means for us in the city moving forward.
Right.
Because we haven't yet got the contract that it's not the previous contract that we had pre HB 227. So it may be a different relationship that further explains what that new relationship means for People TV as it relates to the city, right?
Right.
So and we haven't got that hasn't been solidified yet.
And they base the contract that we're negotiating now is based off of our last contract.
Right.
So again, that contract was written pretty much. A lot of the clauses and requirements were based off of the fact that People TV was reopening and was completely restructuring. So there are some things that I'm asking to be removed from the current contract because it doesn't necessarily relate to our current situation. They even had there was a clause where there needed to be an assessment where staffers were required at the end of the 2013 year when we first opened back up that there was going to be a review process with all of the contractors as far as the city wanted to be able to see resumes and things of that nature. So my thing is, well, that was because we were in a transition period. So now we're working towards stabilization and working towards not just having a majority of independent contractors, but moving towards W-2 employees. So that's some of the conversation we're having right now as far as it relates to our strategic plan and what we're going. And so far, Keisha Burnett, she's reviewed our strategic plan, and in the conversation I've had with her, she's pretty much said, well, it looks like you all are moving in that direction. So there was a question. They had our old bylaws. They didn't have the 2014 version. So I had to send her those. They had some of the board information incorrect. So they needed to get that and review it. And then the last question that I asked was about trying to extend, can we get a longer term? So we have not scheduled another phone call or conversation. She's got to talk to Katrina Taylor Parks, the Deputy Chief of Staff, regarding some of the questions and some of the things that I've presented thus far.
Okay, so that also goes back to the conversation that we had, and we were speaking about them renewing the interest in People TV when we had the conversation with Keisha Burnett, LaRonda Sutton, and
Katrina Taylor Parks.
Katrina Taylor Parks, and their interest in continuing on People TV and really saying that People TV still has a necessary purpose in terms of what it is for public access and for them to have access, to the platform that we provide. So it doesn't have anything to do with our format or our platform or our content or how we've been functioning. It doesn't speak to that. It's not even that it's not that intrusive in terms of what that relationship is. Because we still a 501c3. That's something that we have to abide by, and we still have the public access, the First Amendment as part of that, which protects our content and our producers and things of that nature.
Yes, they are not trying to change any of that. I did one, since they have the existing franchise agreement with Comcast and the city ends in 2016. So I did ask for some clarification as to what, since the franchise agreement does not require the city to fund us per se. And my question was, okay, so how does that relate to us? Are we still considered to be a part of the franchise? And she said, well, technically yes, being that they still have a franchise agreement with Comcast, and being that they still want to have some the ability or autonomy to appoint board members to justify the relationship and the funding that they allocate.
Yeah, but I think then it sounds like there's a lot of ambiguity with that. That's why we have to determine whether or not, if we are filling the franchise, then there's some other things that come up in terms of what the franchise agreement is.
Right.
And and so we have to make sure that the lines are blurred in terms of what that contract still requires and what it requires as it relates to funding too.
Right. Because my question was, what would happen when the city's franchise agreement ends? Then what?
Right.
So that's there's still a lot to be discussed.
Right.
To clarify.
Right. Okay.
So that we know where we stand in regards to the city.
And is there a set date or appointment for this conversation to be had with yourself and the board, or members of the board, or obviously the president of the board? Is there a projection of what and when that can happen, and when that's going to happen, and how soon?
Well, I was told initially, I think from the meeting we had, they were trying to get board appointees done by, I think their city council meeting last week. Right. So I think they're now, they're behind schedule, obviously. So I don't have any direct dates as of right now. My last communication with Keisha Burnett was, I want to say about a week ago. And that was her reply to me regarding extending the contract. So I've got to follow up with her just to try to get a timeline. To my knowledge, we have not come up on any agendas with City Council and the Utilities Committee. I was told that LaRonda Sutton would be making some type of a presentation to to City Council as it relates to our new relationship.
Okay. Anything further with on your report?
Just to again, just want everybody to understand that the 175 is in the bank, but it is recorded on the books as deferred revenue for our calendar year of 2016. So if you were to look at our general ledger, right now it does not, that 175, the amount, the projected revenue and fundraising amount of 234,000 does not include that 175,000. But right now we have combined in both of our accounts, we have $185,828 in our money market and in our operating checking account. So it's it's a good thing. There's money in the bank, but the objective is almost like doesn't mean we can just go on a shopping spree.
We're not home free.
And yeah, there's still a lot to do on the fundraising end, and that's what we're working in that regard with. From a marketing point of view, one of the things that the city wants from us is an understanding of our marketing plan. Right. What are we doing? How are we going to do it? One of the requirements in the contract is that we must submit a community participation action plan as it relates to our community development and our outreach and all of our partnerships. So we are still moving forward in that regard. We've got several partnership initiatives that we're working on. One includes Reverend Calvin Peterson and his nonprofit Disability in Action. We're trying to initiate a partnership to be able to get some funding so that other persons that are disabled can come and have a show here on People TV. So we're, with our marketing, we're trying to make sure the focus is still, as always been, we're still public access. We're still, to promote First Amendment freedom of speech, but we're also trying to focus on certain areas as it relates to diversity. And we're, on our materials, we are focusing on, we provide access, education, and empowerment.
Can I ask you a question about access? There's a major effort going on along the Proctor Creek line, which will ultimately transform Atlanta. It involves 38 neighborhoods, 38 MPUs. It's a major segment of inner city Atlanta that's the federal government is involved in it. It's a major thing. I asked them last night if they tried to have any access here, and they're stymied by how to make that happen. That's a major section of our city that's going through a major transformation through gentrification and a whole lot of things that I think we're, in terms of community engagement, I don't know how much money it'll raise. It'll certainly give us a higher profile in terms of being involved in the community. I just want to make that mention. The Proctor Creek development stuff is a major.
Say that. So
Proctor Creek.
Proctor, Proctor.
Yeah, Proctor Creek.
Creek, CRE. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's good information because that's part of what we've got to identify.
It's a major section.
And that's part of the outreach, and then creating the awareness of People TV. I've had some discussions with, just as, ATL Papa, we're partnering with them. We had our first event, with them, Monday at the Plaza Theater. And one thing I did, talk to Adrian about, we will move forward on trying to get the documentary Everyone's Channel aired on People TV. But there are some other initiatives that ATL Papa has brought to the table, and even John Sheriff has a vendor that can donate some needed lavalier mics to us. So it's right now it's a huge team effort of what has to be done to continue in the direction that we have to go. But at the same time, we have to make sure we keep our T's crossed and our I's dotted. And the other reality is, we're tapping into the fourth quarter. So then the next conversation with the finance committee, we got to start discussing our budget and things for 2016 and prepare to close out the year.
One thing I wanted to add, you mentioned Adrian, and I don't know if we applauded her and another producer whose name escapes me, but they won a national award.
That was Patricia Creighton.
That's a
Hometown
wonderful
Video
thing.
Awards with the Alliance of Community Media.
Somebody called me, well, Rick Clear, who's on our advisory committee, doesn't exist, told me that we won a national award. I thought that's a major thing. And also want to thank the two Johnnies for the work they're doing with regard to Monday's event. So.
Yeah, and they've got, they did the documentary trailer. It was a very sound trailer. So there's, I don't know the full timeline on the documentary, but again, public access is still here, and I just had a conversation with, just discovered that DeKalb County 25 is closing, but I did speak to Sue Ann Taylor. And she verified, they're going to be relocating to another location. But Comcast had, I think Ms. Taylor has her own, it's like she has her own company, and her company was managing DeKalb County 25. So we've actually had a lot of producers that have, in the last couple of weeks, have come to us to want to bring their shows here. We've had several to submit channel time applications and wanting to come over here to bring their show here. So still trying to get a grip and understanding on what exactly is going on over there. But we of course welcome any of the producers that want to bring their shows over here, because years ago we used to even honor their certification, their producer certification over there. We even had used to simulcast with them years ago. So, you know, there's the good thing, as I stated Monday night, is the fact that we are still here, you know, and we're on the air, and you know, we're trying to move forward. I want to, you know, commend the staff for their dedication. You know, Sandy Pruitt, Jay Foster, Mike McMahon, James Westerway have just, you know, I never have to wonder, are they going to show up, which is a good thing.
It's a wonderful thing.
And
Sandy too?
yeah, Sandy, yeah, I have to give her some gummy bears sometimes to get her to show up.
She know why I'm saying that.
But you know, we've got some great new volunteers. One, Angel Jones.
Yes.
Angel comes from D.C., worked in public access. Has brought a lot of good things to the table. I mean, the last couple of weeks has like just been phenomenal. Olivia Johnson. There's some materials. She's helped us with some new draft of brochure, fact sheet, some of our materials.
She did this?
Yeah, and you know, we've got another, and y'all forgive me, I forget, you know, Amanda. Sandy, what's Amanda's last name? Amanda is helping us in production with editing. So, you know, we've got a really good group of volunteers. So, and that's the beauty of public access, let alone the ones that are here operating the cameras. You know, we've got folk that if you need them, they're like, what time? And I have to just, you know, I want to say just my sincere appreciation to everyone, you know,
And so, and also it's good to mention, of course, Jay's here too, and he's helping us with this production in terms of broadcasting the board meeting. But they did have a successful orientation, previous orientation, did they not?
Yeah, I mean, all of our next orientation is October, what's that, 26th, Jay, or something like that? October 14th.
October 14th.
And all of our orientations, we've had at least, you know, anywhere between 50 and 60 people. And again, that's without advertising. You know, that's through word of mouth. So we've, there's a lot of energy, a lot of good energy going on. So we're trying to do our best to meet the demand. But there were several people that I spoke with at the last orientation that are just really excited about the opportunity to partake in what we do here.
And I want to say that I trust that they understand. I know the totality of the orientation because I was also privy to take it, but I know it's also important for them to know how they factor into the larger aspects of People TV in terms of producers and also our fundraising efforts that the producers are also engaging in. So that's fun to do, Pat, right, Patricia, in terms of them being orientated or acclimated into understanding what we need from all the producers in terms of their contributions or their support or maybe they're helping even the fundraising efforts that we say we had to embark upon.
Yeah, that was one of the things that Adrian with ATL Papa was trying to allow them to be the liaison with our producers.
Right.
And then trying to encourage the producers because, you know, little things like, you know, producers doing trailers for their show.
Right.
So that we can run those, you know, so that we can promote the shows more. We don't just want to just air the shows. We want to be able to give people a reason to want to come look at People TV. And we've got, you know, our shows, man, you name it, it's on the air here.
How much channel time is available now? I know that was 50% at one time. How much more is now?
Well, we just opened back up the studios just opened back up for production. Our season starts on October 4. As of yesterday or either this morning, I think James told me we've received 50 applications, and I think we have 2 live slots still available. And I want to say there has not been any of those applications have not been rejected, and some of those do include people from producers from DeKalb. Mm-hmm. So we will continue to accept applications on up until the start of the season. Some of those applications are even for, 1 month, one-time specials.
Right.
They're not all weeklies and things of that nature. But the core of our live shows are the same shows. Patricia Creighton's show is still on the air. Richard Boughton, The City, will still air on Saturday. Ben Stallmacher's show, I believe, is Tuesday. Most of the same ones, I think, that aired, except there are 2 slots that are still open. But
When Sandy pull up, you gotta,
Yeah,
everything stops.
is
You
it
gotta
wrong?
figure out.
Yeah. Yes, I've been reminded by Miss Pruitt. We did receive a call from a producer with TV One that has actually produced here at the facility. He's affiliated with the show. It's a new show on TV One called Born Again Virgin or Virgins, and they are wanting to rent the studio for to do. I think he said it's like they're trying to do like a commercial scene or something to that nature. So I gave him some dates. We haven't. Everything is kind of tentative right now, but I'm waiting to hear back from him. We've also had got a lot of inquiries, a lot of youth inquiries, youth workshops. I just had a conversation yesterday with, there was a production here yesterday, and the actor Palmer Williams Jr. That is starred on Tyler Perry's, what was it? Yeah, the Pain, the House of Pain, and some other stuff. So I had a conversation with he and his wife, and they would like to do like a youth summer camp. So we had some dialogue about that. They're trying to do something for next year. So I mean, it's a lot of things that are out there. We're trying to bring our youth program back. Me and Sandy met with a producer with Fusion Talk or Teen Talk, which is one of our youth programs. We had a meeting with them last week about partnering and trying to see how we can use that as a stepping stone to get back into having some youth program
Okay.
on the
Well,
air.
That's beautiful.
What do you attribute this newfound interest or resurgent interest in? Is it a new time, what's going on out there that's making these folks come to us?
Well, I think the one thing, it kind of, People TV sells itself. People that, if you look at what commercial television costs, we've had, the staff, we had that conversation all the time. You can literally, you come here, your channel time application is if you're a resident, it's $100. And if you want to do a weekly show, a 12-week season, 12 episodes for $100, you can't get that on commercial television. So we got a lot of even new producers that are just that have aspirations to be producers, and they can come. They find out about the workshops, and they literally, jump at the chance. And that's always kind of been, the case. But now that we've been open now for 2 years, the word is out, and people, when people find out, they're literally, the phone calls, the emails, people are jumping at the chance. We've got a waiting list of volunteers. We've got a waiting list of, interns that are wanting to come in. That, we're getting back to that point of trying to meet the demand. And the beauty is that's all being done and happening without advertising. So we're trying to take that a step further and utilize commercial media, commercial radio, to further get the word out. And that's some of the things that, from my discussion with the city, they want to see exactly what's your plan. What do y'all plan to do?
That's part of the marketing strategies and budget. Let's do this so we're in the interest of moving to this agenda. Anything else? Any questions, comments for Teddy. Dazon, Karen, you got any questions or comments to add to Teddy's report?
I'm just curious when. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you kind of
Yeah.
sunk for a minute there. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So when other companies want to use the studio, is there standard rental fee, no matter if it's a film, television show, feature film? Is there any differentiation, or is it just a standard fee that's charged?
Yeah, it depends on what they are looking for. We have an existing rate card that needs some adjustment. But basically, you know, so far this year, I think we've only had one, I think an NBC pilot that rented our back lot and just to park their trucks. And so they, you know, I think that was a $500 rental. They needed the lot for, I forget, maybe about 6 or so hours. But when someone uses the studio, the questions are, do you need our equipment? Do you need, because we have to have a staff person available to give them access, so that's factored in. And we do have a rental agreement that I'd like to execute as well that details the times and what the fees are. Sometimes we do require 50%, you know, deposit. So it just kind of depends on what it is.
Damage fees and all that.
Yeah. Because if someone comes and uses our studio, you know, if you know, every time I see these lights on, to me I just see dollars because I'm thinking about when I get the power bill, what the power bill is going to be. So you know, the studios are our biggest cost. So every time we power up this puppy, especially the lights, the AC, you know, it's dollars. You know, our during the summer we've been averaging $2,000 a month this summer. With
And factors in this, AC and everything is factored
Yeah.
into that. But let's do this, and I think that's a good question in terms of how we can solicit more of that, you know. And sometimes they come in and do renovations, do upgrades or adjustments, you know, because of how they want the settings, you know. And sometimes that could be an improvement that we can keep if it fits, you know, what our studios already need or already have. And sometimes we're lacking a lot of that because we're a little antiquated. But you know, when they come in, sometimes they will do some things, some upgrades for their own purposes, and we get the benefit from that. So the more you solicit those, and the more we accept those kind of contracts, the more we get the possibilities for that to happen. All right. So Dazon, you have any questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Moving
I
to
I would
did-
just add to that, Juanita.
oh, go ahead, Karen.
Well, I would love to see what the rate card looks like. I would like to just kind of just take a look at it and see if it reflects what the going rates are for this
In the
kind
market
of
value, right?
rental.
Right.
And then I would love to talk about making sure that the Georgia Film Office is fully aware of the facilities, so that when production companies are coming into the city and they're inquiring about these kinds of studios, that People TV is part of the package that they send out, which would mean that we need to have some current photos on file with the Georgia Film Commission. So Teddy, if we could maybe talk at some point this week, we could, I can just share my thoughts with you on that.
Yeah, that'll be good. And we I do have us registered on the Georgia Film website, and we're also I have another client that I work with that I do bookkeeping for, Oz Publishing, and they published the Georgia Film Source Book, and they donated. We have 2 website listings on their website. One is for workshop training, and the other is for a studio.
Okay.
So they did offer to do that for us. But yeah, Karen, I would love to have that conversation, because one of the things we do need to is have a whole nother, pretty much a marketing packet just geared towards that.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Our next Human Resource Committee, there's no one here from that committee. I don't know. Terry, you're from that committee.
I'm on it. but,
Yeah, nothing to report as far as you know. Imani was to be here. I don't know what happened, and I haven't heard from him, which is unusual. So they didn't have, you
I
haven't
haven't
met?
communicated with her.
Okay, all right. So nothing to report as far as you know.
Report, no.
Okay, thank you. So we're moving forward. Maybe we'll table that for our next meeting as well. Going into old business, Terry, keeping on that line, you can go ahead and give us an update on the Centennial Conference, please.
Last Wednesday, we were at Emory University celebrating the Founders Day program for ASALH, which is the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, which is celebrating the centennial here in Atlanta. I talked to Teddy about it. We did film it, and we discussed the possibility of getting it on air. And that is major because at that meeting we had C.T. Vivian and Cesar Mitchell gave a proclamation to ASALH, the Atlanta chapter. I happen to be the treasurer for the Atlanta chapter. And we also had Dr. Pelham McDaniels as keynote speaker, who maintains the archives where Carter G. Woodson's papers and books and collections are housed at Emory University. And by the way, he also pitched in for my pet peeve, advocating for HB 481, requiring the teaching of Black history in all Georgia public schools from K through 12, along with Latino, Native American, Jewish, Holocaust, and women's history. That's HB 481. I'm going to keep harping on that because I think it's fundamental to transforming our society and keeping up the standards of excellence in terms of programming. As a producer, it is my goal to set the standard by example, and doing something out at Emory was stellar, really stellar. Channel 46 came in and did a newscast of it. And also, we have been interviewing people associated with ASALH. We've interviewed Dr. Akayele Umoja from Georgia State University, African American Studies Department, Dr. Candy Tate, Emory University CAU, and Sylvia Cyrus. And today we interviewed Dr. Sheila Fleming Hunter of CAU. So Black Fire Rising, along with People TV, have entered into a partnership, as you know, with ASALH to be a part of the convention, which starts next week, from the 23rd through the 27th. It'll be at the downtown Sheraton. And one of the keynote speakers there will be, I don't know if you remember Susan Taylor, but she's the editor emeritus of Essence Magazine. Harry Belafonte is on the advisory board, along with Mary Frances Berry. So we're looking for an outstanding milestone event to take place next week. I'll be in with Black Fire Rising to definitely capture Susan Taylor, because women's history is one of the areas that I concentrate on, getting recognition to women. And I just think it's one of those touchstone areas that People TV is going to benefit from.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well done. Any questions, any comments for Terry per that report? No, okay, good. The next old business is board applicant interview update. Sydney, again, I don't know, Sydney. Did Sydney join us via the conference call? Y'all know? I guess not. I know he did say he was under the weather and thought he was going to join the call, but he didn't join us, so we're going to have to table that and find out what the report is on that. The new business, I guess we're in open comments now, or suggestions. I guess, you know, if there's no board open comments, any public comments. Do we have, Sandy, do we have public comments?
Yeah, we have 3.
Okay, can we start that, and we have 1 minute per comment, please? We can start that. If those who have a comment can go to my left, your right, for your comment.
Okay, first person is Angel Jones.
Oh, okay, what we gonna use that right over there? Is that fine? I'm sorry, producers and directors, I didn't mean to. Yeah, the podium's on, go ahead, sis, go ahead.
Hi, good evening.
State your name again, please.
My name is Angel Jones, and I volunteer here at People TV. I come from DC Public Access Television, and the question I had for the board was, what is the plan for the board's involvement to help with fundraising? Because where I'm from, you know, public access in DC, the board is very, very incorporated with raising funds for the access channel, using the connections that the board has to increase fundraising. And as Teddy stated, in regards to the finances we received for the $175,000, that he doesn't want to touch that income until the year of next year. So what are we doing to make sure that we can self-sustain ourselves, and what's the board's plans for that?
Okay, so we do the development committee, as we were speaking about earlier. You know, I don't know if you were here for that conversation. Is a part of that organizing body that gets together to determine what those different revenue sources are, where they are, to identify them, and to pursue them. In that regard, that's what we're working on. This is what we're going to do pertaining to having someone who's going to be the chair of that committee. Our recent interim chair just resigned from that position. So, to your question specifically, that's my answer, because if until we get the development committee up and running, which is going to be happening offline post this meeting, then we'll know exactly what our strategies are. You know, there are efforts to recruit board members who have that skill, the marketing skill and developing skill, and I think there's some prospects for that happening soon as well, who really can be very aggressive on that and really do it based on their skill set. You know, so that's where we are right now pertaining to that.
So as of right now, the board doesn't have a plan. We're
No.
trying to put together a committee.
There's a strategic plan in place, and you're privy to see that. You know, in terms of our other report, is how that plan goes into effect in terms of its incremental application. So we will be looking further into what those different ideas are and how we move and pursue them. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the question.
John,
How many we got? 2, 3. Okay.
John Sheriff.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. You know, with all due respect, I think the fact that, you know, we're still here is a very low standard. And as an example of that, I just, you know, I feel I have to take this opportunity to criticize the board, and it's in the correct spirit. Because I've come to like you all more and more as I get to know you. But the fact is that the board makes motions and passes motions to do things, and then they don't get done. I can speak from my own experience that you passed a motion to interview me within 15 days and vote on me within 30 days. It took 60 days, and then you didn't even tell me whether I was in or out. The same applies to Patricia Creighton, who is the queen of this station, and yet she has lingered for more than a year to be interviewed and approved or disapproved for membership on the board. Just this last week, the last meeting, you passed a motion to show the promos that Johnny and I made, and yet we couldn't seem to come to an agreement to get them on the air. And yet, just like this woman who just spoke with you, you have a plan. Plans don't mean anything. Action is what is important. And I would hasten to suggest that what's needed here is some action.
All right. Thank you for your comment. Who's there? Any additional comment? I think there's one more comment.
Good evening, everyone. I'm one of the people, and I'm a pissed off person. I hate to tag on. He kind of took my little topic there. I'm a student at the Design and Media Production program at Atlanta Technical College. Now, I've been coming here, I've been volunteering, I've been to several board meetings, and as he said, nothing gets done. And as a student and an aspiring producer, I want to be you. I want to be you people. But I feel that I'm being let down by leadership, because stuff trickles downhill. And if we see at the top where the board is not making moves, then it makes people lazy and say, you know what? Because I was on the edge, it's like, you know what, screw this. I don't want to do this no more, because I come to the board meetings and you talk about the same thing. You talk about you're going to talk about it and you're going to talk about it. And so what? We can stop having conversation and make like a run issue and do it. I have students in my school that are always asking me about People TV. What y'all going to do? What are they going to do? What they going to talk about is all I can tell them. You can come to the meeting. I've had people come to meetings and say, you know what, I feel that was a waste of time. And I can't do anything but agree. Because if we're going to keep saying we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about it, and that's all we're going to do is talk about it, you might be going to shut the station down and turn it to the radio. Because that's all that's being done. I look at board meetings where you're supposed to be staffing board. You can't do anything with this station without the board members, but you have board members who I've never seen. It's a board meeting once a month. You can't make once a month? One day out of a month. You can't make it. If you can't make it, this ain't the job for you, and you need to move and let somebody else do it. We have an advisory board. Now, I know I sat in a meeting where they said, we are going to vote on enacting an advisory board. Maybe we need to bring that back. But then I come to a meeting, and this person has been put on the advisory board. From my remembrance, it don't even exist. So now you have put people on a board that doesn't exist, but they're still here. They're here more than these so-called people that's supposed to be here. And nothing's getting done. So it seems like we're confused. Like this is a personal thing. People TV don't belong to me, it belong to us. And part of this is mine. And I want to turn on the channel and see what's going on in my city and in my community. I don't want to continue to come to meetings where nothing is happening. I am 41 years old. Okay, I'm doing something totally new and totally different than I would have ever thought coming out of high school. But I hate the fact that people behind me, younger generations, are not going to have this same opportunity because it's being wasted right now. And that's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Okay, I think that your sentiments and your passion and your concerns are well. Oh, it's one more. I thought it was three.
Yeah, I do. Okay. Yeah, my name is Jay Foster first, and I would like to first commend the board for at least taking time to meet. I mean, I've been at this station over 20 some odd years, and this is moving forward for those people who say we're not moving forward. Doors are still open. We got the check from the city. No one's even come up to say thanks to the city for giving us the check, which they didn't have to give to us. But a lot of this ungratefulness, a lot of this misunderstanding, people who are getting down with facts that they don't even research, it's not good for us. It's really not. Even the people who speak that don't produce, that come in here and interrogate this place. This place is here. It's for you to use. It's for you to help raise money to keep it going. It is for us as citizens. And I just gets old. I mean, I'm a contractor here, guys. I live in Clayton County. We don't even have this. I see people come through these doors and continue to beat down this station for trying to do something right. It is not right. Check yourself. I want everybody to check yourself. Do something for the station. Help it raise money. Help it stay within the mission of public access, because, sister, it will go away. So I'm not here to...
No, it won't.
It will go away.
No, it won't.
Chances are it could.
It won't.
So I say this to the people here who are watching this, who are involved with this. Get off the high horse and do something to help it go. Because realistically, we should be thanking the city of Atlanta for giving us a lifeline. And no one's come up here and said that at all. All we hear is rhetoric, foolishness, and a bunch of craziness. We can do better than that, people. And you say a collective of the people? There's only black here. I haven't seen any of them, with the exception of maybe one white guy. I mean, there's no Hispanic, there's no Asian. So you say our station, it is everybody's station. It's not one brand station. So I just wanted to put that out there because, you know, I hear this every day about what the station's not doing. But I see people that walk in here that don't do anything for it, but keep a lot of chaos going. It gets old, guys. So I know I'm probably out of place to even say what I have to say, but I had to put it out here because we need to get the facts right before we start stepping out and talking about something that's here for us now. I think we can do better than that.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your comment too, Jay. And I'll say this in closing because we are going to come into our end and closing up. You got another comment?
Excuse me, yes, I was pushed to come and say something. Okay.
How you doing?
Hi.
Say your state your name.
I'm
please.
Charlie Moore of the Charlie Moore Show, and I want to say something positive. I understand frustration of people, and everybody have a complaint or concern, but I must say People TV has been here for a long time, and it has been very productive and helpful, and it is on the upclimb now. And it's trying to get back to where it was, because I came in '93, and I know how People TV is and how many people TV has helped. So I don't think getting angry and I know we're upset, and I'm one to be upset at times, but let's sort of calm down and try to remain positive, to work together and get things done. The board, the ones that are here, they do what they can, and the ones that aren't here, well, that's another thing. But perhaps some of the messages that were just said, we can take heed and try to be constructive about it to make a change. But let's be positive and stay together as a unit and make TV bigger than ever, because it was a great place at one time and it's getting back to that. So let's look at it from that standpoint.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your comment. Let me just also say in closing, because one of the things that I hear, and I hear a lot of criticism about the board, and I want to. Some people may not have a short memory. The station was getting ready to close, and the station was already unpacking, unloading, had the truck out and back, and the station was really already going black. The board that you see currently that's in existence came through to help try to stabilize the station as best it could, what it had to work with. The inheritance of what this board has received was already a dysfunctional station, already had financial problems, already was having the challenges of staying open, and the board that you see currently was very much instrumental, along with the city, to allow us to maintain and sustain ourselves to the point, to the degree that we are. I haven't, and I'm not, it's a thankless job. I'm not here for anybody, to give me accolades. The proof of the pudding is that we're sitting and having this conversation. And if you go back maybe 6 months, maybe 8 months, this conversation was a whole different conversation. It wasn't even a conversation about whether or not, we had any funds or any promises of funds or any projections of funds, And so therefore, those, who make the criticism, you have your observations based on what you think you're currently experiencing. But as a result of what you're experiencing, I think it's important for you to be able to look and see exactly why you even having the opportunity to have that conversation. It's not through osmosis. It wasn't because, some miracle happened, from 34th Street. What happened was that this station is still on because the board got together, took what it had to work with, which was really little to nothing. The board that was previous to us, was very dysfunctional, very absent, very, they were already, walking out of the door and shutting down and dismantling itself. So I'm saying that, that we do have those who have been dedicated. We have here Paul, who's very dedicated, was dedicated to coming back and helping to rebuild. Terry is here. He's the producer. He was helping to produce. Imani, who helped us tremendously in getting, our strategic plan up. We had somebody to come to support us in doing that. Also brought us, a auditor with an accountant to help us better do our books. We have Sister Karen, who's on the phone, who's responsible for having the relationship, connection, the resource to connect us to the new department that we're now under. Were it not for her having, as a board member, a connection to this particular person over at the city, which is the city of the Office of Film and Entertainment, will we be here? Who knows? But it was her relationship with that particular person that gave this station another opportunity to have another relationship that they agreed to, because they realized that she was on the board, and she also had others that was on the board as well. Sister Dazon, very much actively engaged in what it is to run a 501c3, an organization. All these individuals that you talk about, who are not here, who maybe you have never saw, I have been doing more work in their absence from a board meeting than most have done being here and present and available for you to see and to talk to. So I just say that, that I don't really necessarily personally require your things and your appreciation, but proof of my putting is in the solutions and what you see happening. And if you don't have an appreciation for that, then that means that there's an agenda that you have to say that there's nothing you can do that I can appreciate because you don't see little things happening that you think that are falling down because we don't come to an agreement. Or maybe sometimes we don't honor emotion or we don't honor the emotion in the way that you thought it was because of misunderstanding of emotion. All that is, is projected based on what we know we have done so far. The trajectory, as our last commenter just stated, is going north. It is not going south. It was going south when we inherited this position. When I took on the position to be a part of this board, the station was already ready to close down and ready to shut itself down because there was no structure and there was no board. So I'll say to that end that because of the work and the energy of Adrian, who really truly had a real powerful, strong love for this station and her need and desires will make sure that we still have public access, her activism was allowing me to be able to say, okay, I will accept the opportunity to come in and be a part of this board to help stabilize it to the best of my ability. So I'm going too long and even just trying to justify that because I really, truly, I'm not here to get any accolades. All I want to know is that everything is result oriented. And if it were not for us being what we know we could do based on what we had to work with, then this station wouldn't be here for a forum for you to even have a comment to say that nothing's happening and things fall apart and we are bad examples and it trickles down into everybody else. We got to look at whether the glass is half full or half empty. No, is there anything in the glass at all that we can even pull from as substance? And I think there's more substance of what we have done that could be positively looked at as opposed to all the negatives that's coming to saying that we ain't doing nothing and we're not even productive and we're not doing anything. That's an old story, an old paradigm. And it's not true that for this current board who has been very actively engaged and involved, as well as I mentioned Sydney as well, being involved as best he could as one of our treasurer. So again, we thank y'all for coming out. Sandy, you have a comment?
Yeah, just
all right.
Sure. It's only a minute. I just want to say, because it really kind of frustrates me when I hear people say there's no progress been made. When I came here in February of 2013, there were 2 part-time people here. One worked from 12 to 5, and the other one came in and worked from 5 to 9. There was no live programming going on. All the program that was going on was basically reruns, or you had a few people that was bringing shows in. Since I've been here, in the 2 years that I've been here, we didn't have education classes. We brought an educator and trainer in. Our classes are now have people on waiting lists. All our classes are filled. By the time we put the class registration out there, within a week the classes are filled and people are asking us if we can start giving more classes. Orientation. When I started, we weren't even having orientation. We went from having 10, maybe 15 people coming into orientation to the last 4 or 5 orientations where we've had 50 plus people coming in to participate in the orientation. Volunteers. There was no volunteers here. We now have volunteers coming in. Like Teddy said, we have a waiting list of interns. I have worked with the rest of the staff and develop a relationship with Georgia State, with Westwood College, with AI, and we're working on developing other relationships. And I'm doing all this, and we're doing all this, coming in, working part-time, not even full-time. So when I hear people say nothing is happening, then they aren't looking at the whole picture. Maybe it didn't happen in the way you want it to happen. But don't insult me and tell me nothing is happening when we all know, if we look at what we were 2 years ago when the station was getting ready to close down, things were packed up and ready to go out, to where we are now, then you can't sit here and look me in my face and make me agree with you when you say nothing is happening, because it's not true. And every time you come and you say nothing is happening, I'm going to stand up and tell you, no, it is happening. You need to open your eyes and see what's happening.
All right, thank you. All right, well, I don't know if we have a quorum. Is Dazon and Karen still online?
I'm still here, yes.
Okay, well, I need to make sure we have a motion to adjourn because, we lost Maynard. He's not with us. He had to leave. So, so Dejan, you're moving that we adjourn?
Yes, and I also want to offer my appreciation. I'm sorry if I have an echo. Hold on. I want to offer my appreciation for all of the comments, both those who have criticism perceived as true or not, and those who have stood in defense of the work that has been done. I think that I heard a very good quote this week that says, success does not necessarily mean triumph. And so I think it's important for us to absolutely acknowledge every milestone that we have come through and overcome, and to also acknowledge every milestone that has yet to be accomplished and achieved, but to understand that we are on the road to a different place than where we were. And from someone who has written checks to organize for other people to write checks, that we can all do what we can individually as well as collectively to keep moving it forward together. And I promise you that the more we spend dividing ourselves as you and them, and we and y'all, or us and them, and pointing fingers, one finger out and four fingers back at yourself is exactly what happens. And there is nobody involved in People TV for whom it should be about them. Because it really is about free speech, and it's about people's access. And there's no I in people either. So I just want to make sure that we're all focused in on it collectively, and that if there is an individual agenda at play, it won't succeed with People TV's success.
Okay, there's a motion, Dejan did a motion to adjourn. Paul seconds the motion. All in favor? Aye. All right, we adjourn. Thanks for coming out, everyone. Thanks for taking the time out to be with us for this particular meeting. We'll see you next time.